Growing up in Richmond, Virginia meant summers filled with the scent of honeysuckle in the air, lightning bugs blinking in the twilight, and Saturday mornings spent at farmers markets where you could find the freshest produce, especially those Hanover tomatoes. If you haven't tried one, be sure to do it when you're in town. It was school field trips to Maymont, afternoons exploring Belle Isle, and the thrill of hearing the rumble of NASCAR at Richmond Raceway twice a year. It was a place where fall meant crisp air and pumpkin patches, where snow days were rare but celebrated like a holiday. And when the James River wasn't just scenery, it was a playground for kayakers, hikers, and anyone looking to escape the rush of everyday life. And while growing up here might sound like a scene out of a classic Southern novel, Richmond isn't just cobblestone streets and charming row houses. Because while life here is as rich and layered as the city's name suggests, it's not perfect every single day. And before you pack up and move to Richmond, there are a few things you should know that many people won't tell you about, but could completely change your decision. Some people considering a move here have a vision of what life looks like: charming historic homes, incredible food, and vibrant art scene. And while all of that is true, there are some things you won't find in the travel brochures. So before you start calling Richmond home, take a few minutes to watch this video as I break down the things you need to know about living here. Is living in Richmond really as affordable as people say, or are there hidden costs that surprise newcomers? What everyday challenges do people face after moving to Richmond that no one talks about? And is Richmond really the perfect blend of Southern charm and city life, or does the reality fall short? But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Holly, and as a native Richmonder and local real estate expert, I help people just like you navigate relocating to the Richmond metro area. This channel is all about living in Richmond, Virginia, so if you're thinking about making a move, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's be real. Why do so many people only talk about the positives? It's easy to highlight the best parts of the city, but when you're making a big move, you need to know the full picture. The reality is every place has its pros and cons, and what's perfect for one person might not be the best fit for someone else. Richmond might look affordable on Zillow, but wait until you get your first utility bill. When you're scrolling through listings, it's easy to picture yourself in that charming Richmond home, spacious rooms, a big backyard, maybe even a historic touch. But what you don't see in the listing photos, the potential shock of your first utility bill. Many older homes in the Richmond area have outdated HVAC systems and poor insulation. So that beautiful 1920s bungalow, it might still have single pane windows and an AC unit working overtime to keep up. Even some newer homes were built with efficiency as an afterthought. Summer cooling and winter heating can spike bills by $100 or more. With their hot, humid summers and chilly winters, Dominion Energy can be unpredictable. And with Dominion recently proposing a rate increase, costs could climb even higher. Some areas rely on oil heat or baseboard systems, both of which are expensive options. If you're used to gas or electric heating, the cost of filling an oil tank might be shocking. That's why when you're looking for a home in the Richmond area, it's not just about square footage or curb appeal or how many bedrooms and bathrooms. It's about knowing what's behind the walls. Energy-efficient upgrades, insulation, and HVAC maintenance can make or break your monthly budget. And utilities are just the start. Wait until you hear what it's like to drive around here. Richmond isn't that big, so why is getting around something so frustrating? If you've ever tried navigating Richmond for the first time, you know it's an experience. You think you've got a simple route planned, and then suddenly you're stuck in a red light for what feels like forever. Or worse, you take a wrong turn and end up on a one-way street, headed straight towards a line of angry drivers flashing their lights at you. I still remember when I first started driving in the city, thinking I had this whole grid system figured out. Spoiler alert, I did not. Between the maze of one-way streets, poorly marked intersections, and traffic lights that seem to be on their own schedule, it's easy to feel like Richmond is actively testing your patience. Here are 3 things to consider. One-way streets, oddly timed lights, and confusing intersections. I'm talking about the Fan, and other areas, of course. The Fan is a charming, historic, and full of life area, but also a logistical nightmare for drivers. Streets switch directions at random. Intersections don't always make sense, and if you miss your turn, well, good luck finding your way back without another loop around the block. I-95, I-64, and Route 288 get clogged fast during rush hour. Richmond might be a major metropolis, but don't let that fool you. Traffic backs up fast. Commuters from the suburbs flood into the city every morning, and if there's even one accident, expect delays. And yes, there's always at least one accident. Public transit is limited, and rideshare prices can add up quickly. The GRTC Pulse is great if you're in its path, but outside of that, don't expect reliable public transportation. It's also important to note that the buses only access certain areas within the surrounding localities, so it may not be an option at all if you're outside of the city limits. If you're moving from a city where you rely on buses or trains, you might be in for a shock when you realize Uber and Lyft are your only real options, and those fares add up fast. Right now, the GRTC buses have waived their fares, but funding could run out at any time. And if traffic doesn't get you, the parking situation just might. In the city, most parking is on the street at first come, first serves. Imagine going to the grocery store, getting bags and bags of groceries, and on your way home, it starts pouring down rain. You get to your house, and there is no parking anywhere to be found. In your block, the next block, or the next block. You end up parking 3 blocks away and having to walk back and forth with groceries in the pouring rain multiple times. And even if you figure out the roads and the parking, you'll still need to be strategic about where you live. You'd think choosing a great school would be simple, but Richmond's system makes it tricky. Schools vary widely. One street over can change your assigned school. Many families make their housing determination based on the schools. In addition to the public school options, a number of private schools are in the area, as well as homeschooling. For the schools that have magnet or specialty programs, they are competitive and can be hard to get into. If schools are important to you, be sure to do your research. I'll leave a link in the description below to my movintoRichmondVirginia.com webpage to help you with your research. You'll find SOL scores, USA Today and World Reports ratings, as well as some opinion sites about the schools, but be sure to take those with a grain of salt. And it's not just schools. Your zip code affects almost everything. Richmond isn't just one city. It's a collection of drastically different areas. 17 different localities make up the Richmond metro area. Each locality has its own name, and then within the localities, there are communities, and within those communities, there are subdivisions. Yes, we like to keep it confusing here, but don't worry, I've got you. People can refer to one area by any of these names. For example, Wellesley. Someone living in Wellesley could say they live in Wellesley, or they might say they live in Short Pump, or they might say they live in Western Henrico, or Richmond for the metro area. So let's break down some of the more common ones that I received questions about. The Fan is part of the city of Richmond. It does have sidewalks and is historic, but can be expensive and noisy. Short Pump is a community within Western Henrico County. It's suburban with lots of shopping and dining and entertainment options. As a matter of fact, I always joke that anything and everything you could possibly want is within a 3-mile radius, but it is farther from the city vibe. Glen Allen is another community within Western Henrico County. It's again more suburban, has close proximity to Short Pump, but a little more green space. Midlothian is another suburban area, but this time we are south of the river in Chesterfield County. There's lots of shopping and dining and entertainment options here as well, but it can take you longer to get there because of the way the streets are laid out and the stoplights. Choose wrong, and you could end up feeling stuck in a lifestyle that doesn't fit you. Virginia doesn't have outrageous property taxes, but don't assume they're cheap everywhere. Richmond City's rate is higher than nearby counties. As a matter of fact, all of the localities that make up the Richmond metro area with city in their name have higher tax rates than the surrounding localities. One particular locality actually in recent years lowered their real estate tax rate to offset the increase in assessed value of the homes. They've proposed again this year to lower it. Fingers crossed that it will be passed. Even if you pay less in taxes, utilities, or insurance might offset the savings depending on the home and the location. It matters whether the locality has paid fire department, their ISO rating, and the age of certain major items within the home like the roof. It also matters which insurance companies you contact, so be sure that you consult with a local vendor and see if they have any that they might regularly work with. In certain areas, there are tons of homes that are being renovated. These renovated homes, while beautifully done, may be reassessed and taxed at a higher rate than expected. And speaking of money, let's talk about the real cost of buying here. The Richmond Metro used to be known as a budget-friendly city, but things have changed. Median home prices are up, especially in popular areas like Short Pump and Midlothian. Competition is also intense. Cash buyers and offers waiving contingencies or going above asking price are common, so it is extremely important to have a strategy and an agent who has their finger on the pulse of the hyper-local market that you are hoping to live in. On the flip side, we are seeing some homes sit on the market, so you wouldn't want to pay more than you have to. Rent for a decent 2-bedroom apartment, expect about $1,600 to $2,200 a month or more, depending on the area. That's right. You can actually buy a home, build equity cheaper than you can paying rent in some cases, that is. And if you're thinking about new construction instead, hold that thought. New builds sound great, no repairs, low maintenance, but there is a catch. New construction is mostly in Chesterfield, Hanover, or Goochland, farther from the city lines. HOAs can be strict and lot sizes are often smaller than expected. Some builders are so overwhelmed, sometimes the timelines and quality vary. So be sure you have an agent help you navigate the new construction process. They can make a big difference. And don't think resale is easier. There's different kinds of challenges there. Richmond has some stunning older homes, but charm comes with a price. Many homes are 50 to 100 years old and may need major system upgrades, especially within the city of Richmond. Lead pipes, outdated wiring, microbial growth in the crawl space, and crumbling foundations are not uncommon. Historic guidelines in some districts limit your renovation options as well. And just when you fix it up, surprise, you might be in a flood zone. You wouldn't expect flood risks this far in from the coast, but it is real in RVA. Areas along the James River and creeks like Shockoe Bottom are in the FEMA zones. One locality just recently added some new areas in the flood zone, so it is important to verify this information prior to purchasing. Flood insurance can add about $100 to $300 per month to your mortgage. And some buyers don't find out that their new dream home is in a flood zone until they're under contract. I can't stress the importance of doing your research. And even if the home's not within a flood zone, another challenge people don't expect is the pollen. You may be able to see it flying around me as I'm filming this video. This time of year is bad if you have allergies. Everything has a kind of green, slime green tint to it. And if you make it past allergy season, there's one more challenge people don't expect. People don't talk enough about vibe, but in Richmond, it really matters. Every community has its own personality, if you will. The metro area is very diverse. As a matter of fact, I say it's a big mixing bowl with something for everyone. Some areas are deeply traditional, others are more progressive and eclectic. Let's wrap this up with my top recommendations for how to avoid the biggest regrets when moving to RVA. Before you trust someone with your biggest financial decision, ask yourself this: are they actually equipped to help you? With over 8,000 agents in the Richmond metro area, it's important to find the right fit for you because everyone runs their business differently. If it is important to you to have someone who is working in real estate every day with their finger on the pulse of the hyperlocal market, be sure to ask if the agent is a part-time agent. They can sometimes lack the experience needed to truly guide clients, especially in a fast-moving, hyperlocal market. Low transaction volume could mean they haven't seen enough nuanced negotiation scenarios or red flags to protect you. With the market moving so quickly like it has for the last 5 years, if they're not working full-time, they're likely missing trends, local shifts, or off-market scenarios and opportunities. A great agent does more than just open doors. They advocate, educate, and guide you through every decision. You will put together a strategy with them for your buying process, but also a strategy for any offer you submit. Chances are, if you have to submit multiple offers, you won't submit any two identical offers. So if you're wondering who you can trust, let me tell you exactly what I bring to the table. I'm not just here to sell you a home. I'm here to make sure it's the right one for your life. I'm a full-time, top-producing, boots-on-the-ground agent who knows this market inside and out. I specialize in helping out-of-town buyers who need someone they can trust from a distance. With an MBA and project management certification, you can trust that every step we take together will be a strategic one based on your personal goals and to help you obtain those goals of home ownership. I don't just work in one neighborhood, I work across the entire metro, so I can tailor my advice to your goals, not mine. You'll work directly with me, not get passed off to a junior agent or team member. Whether you're exploring the Fan, Short Pump, Chesterfield, or anywhere in between, I'll help you figure out what fits your lifestyle, budget, and future. Who better to do that than a native Richmonder who has been here their entire life? So if you're serious about moving to RVA and you want honest answers, smart strategy, and someone who puts your goals first, I'd love to help. Just reach out via text, call, or schedule a Zoom meeting on my calendar, and let's figure out if this is the right move for you.